Hey guys, what's up? It is BroFox, and today we are going to be reacting to scary stories, as you can see. I haven't watched any of this yet, so let's see what it offers.
The following are stories submitted to us by the BuzzFeed community. It was late fall during my senior year of high school. I was getting ready that morning on the landing between the first and second stories of my parents' house. They had already left for work, so I was home alone. I grabbed my coat and went downstairs to go out the back door. As I'm putting my coat on and getting ready to step out into the morning fog, I hear heavy footsteps on the stairs headed up to the top floor. The house had hardwood floors, so you could hear every single step and shuffle. I initially thought, my dad must have left his phone at home or something, so I walked back over to the stairs and yelled up some sort of smart-ass remark about him being forgetful.
Again, I'm sorry for the swearing. I don't know, I don't really know about these videos. I'm sorry for the swearing. I am so sorry, and if you're not allowed to listen to swearing, don't watch this. Hopefully it doesn't say, a law of swearing.
Wait for an answer. I yell up again, Dad? I wait again. And when I'm met with silence, I make a swift turn and double time it to the back door. As I reach for the handle, I pause and hear rapid footsteps following my exact path, but upstairs right above me. And when I say rapid, I mean crazy, crazy fast, the kind of inhuman speed that gives you chills in all the scary movies. I yanked open the door, quickly stumbled out, and slammed the door shut behind me. I ran to my car as quickly as I could, backed it up to turn around in the driveway, and was facing the kitchen window. I stare for just a second or two, and notice one side of the curtains is pulled back just a little. I get a new wave of chills just as I see them thrown back down. Needless to say, I got the hell out of there. I have never been so scared in my life. I called my dad in the car and he went home to check on the house, but nothing was amiss. No one was in the house, and all the doors were locked and secured. So in a nutshell, a totally unexplained occurrence. In college, I worked as a supervisor for our fitness facilities. There were two gyms about a mile apart from each other. One was newly constructed and the other was an original campus building, so it was about 90 years old. It was a summer semester, so we were operating on a limited staff. I was charged with closing up the older building for the night, but a nasty storm was coming, and so I sent the other employees home early and went through the process alone. I had to walk top to bottom in the 4-story building to ensure all the doors and windows were locked. And while I wasn't crazy about it, I also wasn't scared because the building was very familiar to me. I kept in contact with my counterpart at the other building via radio and went about my business. Nothing was out of the ordinary until I made my way to the women's locker room on the first floor. I did my sweep, checking on the shower, bathroom stalls, closing lockers, etc., something I'd done 100 times before. I had just reached the exit and flipped the light off when I heard the unmistakable noise of a shower curtain being pulled back on a metal rod. I stopped. My heart started to beat faster, and I knew I needed to go back and check even though I didn't want to. I stepped outside, gathered my nerves, and went back in. I flipped on the light and made my way down to the shower bay. I could see that the curtain in the final stall was pushed all the way to the left, wide open. I questioned whether or not it was actually closed when I walked by the first time, and pulled it shut again. I walked back to the exit, and as soon as I turned off the lights, I heard it again. The sound of a shower curtain sliding on a metal rod. My heart was beating uncontrollably at this point, and I felt my knees get weak. I stepped outside and radioed my counterpart at the other facility, hoping he was going to say someone was playing a prank on me. Instead, he told me that they were closing down because of the weather, and that I should try to get home as quickly as possible. that, I was convinced that no one else was in the building with me. Being the macho 21-year-old that I was, I decided to go back in the locker room and check the shower bay one more time. I flipped on the light, walked to the showers, and saw the same curtain pushed to the left, wide open. I quickly closed it again and half-jogged to the door. As soon as I turned off the light, I heard it again. The sound of the shower curtain sliding on a metal rod. Suddenly, not feeling very brave, I ran to the main entrance, set the alarm, and ran from the building as quickly as possible.
Hey.
When I was in high school, kids would always talk about this haunted dirt road in the middle of nowhere called Old State Road. There were tons of rumors about things that would happen on this road, like a woman hanging from the bridge above it. But one rumor was that a bus full of children was hit on the train tracks. They said that if you put your car in neutral on the tracks and put baby powder on the back of the car, the ghosts of the children would push your car off and you could see their handprints on your rear bumper. So one night, I went with my best friend and we picked up one of our good friends and her two guy friends. When we got on the road, we had one of the guys drive because we were so scared. When we got to the train tracks, he turned the car and lights off. No one got out of the car to put anything on the back. We begged him to move, but he didn't. And we sat there. Nothing happened, and we didn't see the car move. Disappointed, my best friend and I dropped the others off at home. When we got to her house around 1 a.m., we decided to look at the back of the car just for fun. When we put a flashlight on it, there was a thin layer of dust and tiny childlike handprints all over the back of the car, when no one had gotten out or touched it.
Okay, so that one was kind of short, not that scary, so I found an animated story and we're going to watch it. Written by Sam Hansen.
George yawned. He was obviously bored. He'd agreed to come round mine for a sleepover because I was new at school, and he wanted to see what kind of house I lived in, get a sense of what I was like. But I could tell he was already regretting the decision. I thought you said you had a PS4. George's eyes flicked around the bedroom, as if he was hoping the console would magically appear from somewhere. We'd been upstairs since dinner. He'd explored my room. We chatted for a bit, then watched some random shows on Netflix. Things were going okay at first, but as the last light bled out of the day and the sky outside darkened, I could tell George was losing interest. That was when I suggested we do something a bit different. Nah,
It's gonna be bad.
I don't have one, I said. Sorry. Are you still up for having a go at this game, though? What? Telling each other stories. Isn't that little kid stuff? George glanced at the watch on his wrist. I followed his gaze. George's watch was the first thing I noticed about him. He sits in front of me in English, and I spotted the watch after a ray of sunlight glinted off its face and caught my eye. It's a really nice watch. Most of the kids in my year have digital watches, those blocky ones that light up when you press a button on the side. But George's watch was different.
I wish I had one of those.
More adult. It was one of the reasons I'd picked George to invite over. Hey, can I try your watch on? George looked up at me and frowned. What? Your watch. Can I try it on? It's really nice. George stared at me for a second longer. Sorry. I don't let anyone try my watch on. My dad says I'm not allowed. He glanced around the room once more, his eye going from the door to the dark window. He sighed. Okay, let's play this dumb game then. What do I have to do? Ignoring the bored look on his face, I smiled. It's really easy. We just take turns telling each other a scary story, like the scariest story you can possibly think of. Then, whoever's is the scariest wins the game. George rolled his eyes. I don't know any scary stories. Besides, I think I might get some sleep soon. I'm pretty tired. Come on, just one each. You must know at least one scary story. Everyone does. Plus, I know loads of good ones. I watched George's face for a reaction. Unless you're one of those kids that frightens easily, that is, then I guess you might not like the game. It was a risk, but George bid. I'm not scared of anything. I've watched horror films with my big brother that are rated 18. We even found one on YouTube that's been banned, and I still watched it. I didn't say anything. I just looked back at George and smiled. After a few seconds, he let out another sigh. Fine, let's play a stupid game then. But after you're done failing to scare me, that's it. I'm going to bed. George went first. His story wasn't bad, in fairness. It was one he said his uncle told him a couple of years back. Nothing I hadn't heard before. Basically, there are two kids. One of them gets hit by a car and dies. After the funeral, the mother gives the surviving kid some money to go get liver from the store. Something to cook up for dinner. Because he's sick in the head, though, the kid pockets the money, digs up his brother, and removes his liver instead. Then, later that night, the dead brother rises from his grave to come and get the kid in his sleep. It's a decent enough story, but I'd heard it 100 times already. I didn't let on, though. I made all the right faces and jumped at the right parts. George got quite into it. He gestured his arms and his watch glinted in the light from my bedside lamp. His blonde hair spilled across his forehead. He was so into the story, he didn't seem to notice. After it was over, he sat back and grinned. I thought you were going to start crying at one point, he said. You might as well give up now anyway. I'm not scared of anything. I looked across the room at him. The house was quiet now and had been for a few hours. When we'd first come upstairs, there was still noise coming from below. The faint sound of the TV in the lounge, the rattle of plates being put away in the kitchen. And now, there was only silence. Beyond the bedroom window, tree branches rustled in the wind. The occasional car passed by on the road outside. That was it. I grinned at George. So, you're not scared of anything at all? Nope, nothing. Not even stories that are true. George let out a bark of laughter. Ha! Nice try. Just hurry up and get it over with, will you? I'm already bored. Okay,
Well, he's
fine. My story's about a family, I began. A family that looks normal enough on the outside, but isn't really normal at all. George rolled his eyes again. He was starting to annoy me quite a lot by now, but I didn't let on. I just carried on with the story as if I hadn't noticed. This family moves around a lot. They never stay in one place for too long. They can't, you see. The family's good at disguising themselves. They're good at hiding their secret, but they still can't go taking risks. If they stayed in one place for more than a week, they might get found out. Someone might discover what they really are. So,
sorry for the dark screen.
what are they then? George asked. I wanted to tell George not to interrupt, to just sit still and listen to the story, but I bit.
Okay, guys. We're gonna end it there. I am sorry, my phone's about to die, but if you want part 2, I'm gonna make one. My phone charges, but the good thing is I usually like to make a lot of videos in one day, and tomorrow I don't have school, and next day I don't have school, so I will be making part 2 of this and a lot more. See you guys. Like this video if you like it, and if you don't, I don't care. Shoot. Beast.